Gentleman from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have amendment at the desk.
We have
Amendment number is 5433291/1.
Amendment number 1.
Move waive reading of the amendment.
so ordered.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is just adds language to this bill because of a problem that we have in eastern Baltimore County. We have had problems with raw sewage being dumped into Back River and other tributaries, Bear Creek, Patapsco River, a lot of different areas. To give you a scenario, well, I'll explain to you what happened. We were celebrating the start of headworks for Back River Wastewater Treatment Plant that would have stored sewage and overflow from Baltimore City. This was great because, you know, whenever we have a bad storm, it would take the influent and hold it until after the storm so they could treat the influent and turn or put it back into the river. We had a problem for years. Anytime it would rain severely, that Baltimore City's sewage would back up, come down to Jones Falls, come down into the inner harbor, wind up into the bay. So we were ecstatic. I mean, we spent over $500 million of taxpayers' money on this project. Back River Restoration cleans this area where a lot of this influent comes in. We have men working in the water. Not only that, we have people that swim in this area. We have Cox Point. We have several places that we swim in the area, and there's actually a couple of businesses that allow people to swim in the water. Unbeknownst to us, we didn't know that there was being raw sewage dumped into the rivers. That's unconscionable. We got kids from Baltimore City, Baltimore County, all around the state that come down to enjoy the waters in Baltimore County. How we found out about this, the media reported raw sewage being dumped into the bay by the treatment plant. It was alleged that fraud was reported. The numbers were fraudulently reported to MDE. So that started an investigation, and hopefully we got that resolved. We had a severe midge problem in the area because of the influent being dumped into the bay. Basically raw sewage. I know what I want to say, but I don't think you're probably carrying me out of here. This would create an oversight testing of a third-party approval by MDE if a wastewater treatment plant is not in compliance with their water treatment is not in compliance with their water discharge permit, their TMDLs. It would also require testing for midge larvae and discharge of midge larvae if they were not in compliance. It would also would require for sewage overflows, breaks in sewer pipes at wastewater treatment plants must be reported to local media and local legislators. And the reason for that is so we know that we're not putting our kids in the water swimming with influent. The independent inspector required on site until the independent inspector would be required to be on site until all the TMDLs are in compliance with the discharge permit. Madam Speaker, to give you a little history of what happened and why I'm so passionate about this. Last summer, I live on the water, I enjoy the water. Just before Christmas, I got sick, didn't realize what was going on. And I got a blood infection. They can't figure out where it was from, and I do believe it was from the water, because I'm in the water all the time working on the boat or whatever around the water. And I got sepsis. I almost died. And I'm thinking to myself, if they're putting raw sewage into the bay and not telling people, that's not acceptable. I mean, this is just a reporting. We just asked for reporting and oversight, and we want back the treatment plants to come in compliance with their discharge permits. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Vice Chair of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First, I want to express to the good delegate from Baltimore County, I'm so very sorry to the severe health condition that you had, and I can only imagine how terrible it must have been. And So very sorry about that. And I do want to thank you as well for giving me an advance copy of the amendment, and I've neglected to mention to the delegate from St. Mary's County as well. Thank you for advance notice. However, I would urge the body to resist this amendment. While the issues that the delegate from Baltimore County is discussing, are ones that are important, and certainly it had a very important, very significant impact, negative impact on you. This amendment deals with pollution violations, how to address pollution violations, whereas the bill that is before us, House Bill 1200, seeks to provide public notice in the permitting process. So it really is in a different category of issue area. I would also note that the amendment would likely have a significant fiscal note. Also, there is a separate bill, which will probably be coming before this body before crossover, which addresses and would require the Department of the Environment to provide much more frequent inspections of facilities when there is a violation of a discharge permit. So a significant part about the oversight and compliance that's required will be addressed through that legislation. And then lastly, I'll just say that MDE already requires wastewater treatment facilities to have an operator who's certified in water quality sampling. Their water quality samples are to be sent to an MDE certified lab, which is certified in testing, and then compliance is to be verified during inspections. Now, what I just said sort of begs the bigger point that MDE inspections have been woefully inadequate in a number of cases, and again, we will have that separate legislation the next day or so, which will address that. So for all those reasons, Madam Speaker, and again acknowledging, the challenges that the delegate from Baltimore County face because of improper discharge of pollution into nearby waters. Acknowledging all that, I still respectfully request a no vote on this amendment.
Thank you. Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to press this amendment. And, I was just thinking about the kids when they're swimming. We have a business that actually lets the kids get out and go into the water in the same creek. In the same creek. Now, according to all the information that I've received, what happened when all this pollution was going into the bay, it was basically bad management. And I even wanted to actually have a third party come in and take over the treatment plant. I was told it couldn't be done. It's not acceptable. You're putting raw sewage into the bay. We fish, we live on the bay. We eat these fish. It's just not acceptable. And that's why I would press this amendment. And by the way, thank you for your concern. Sepsis is nothing to play with, but I'm fully recovered and doing great. Thank you for your concern.
On the amendment, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Roll call.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change your vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. The amendment fails.